It's so shameful. The things they do is shocking.
This federal officer is so haunted by the horror, he says he was subjected to by other CBP officers at Newark Airport. He asked us to hide his identity, but we did see his current badge.
I never expected that I'll be terrorized in my own place of work.
He worked in a secure area in Terminal C at the airport several years ago. He kept his pain private until he saw these CBP officers speaking out to the I-Team last month. They described a disturbingly similar pattern of abuse, recent abuse.
This is beyond hazing. This is assault.
Diana Cifuentes told us that fellow officers duct taped her to a chair last fall.
I was held down by another officer, and one additional officer taped me with green customs tape.
To a chair?
To the chair.
They tied you to a chair?
Yes, but they used the tape that you wouldn't be able to just get it from the chair.
Nearly identical accounts, but years apart. Vito DiGeronimo claims he was pinned down by officers on a so-called rape table earlier this year.
I mean, his genitals are on, he's humping me, dry humping with clothes on.
And you say you were sexually assaulted?
That's correct. They just grabbed you and, rubbed a genitals behind your buttocks, like a sexual act assaulting you.
To think this was happening back in 2012, and there are still allegations of this.
It's terrifying.
Perhaps the most disturbing part of all for this officer, the escalation of brutality.
Somebody put a bag over my head.
And it was a plastic bag?
It was a plastic bag, yes. At this point, it's even not just suffocating, but choking me at the same time, so I'm struggling. I tried to get it up, but it's held it tighter.
You thought you were going to die?
Yes. I finally was able to free myself. I said, why did you try to hurt me? You were trying to kill me. You were choking me.
Attorney Patrick Metz says that claim is beyond sickening.
Somebody came and put a bag over his head and choked him till he almost passed out. What other workplace does that go on at? Everybody from the rank officers up apparently knew this was happening during that course of time, or they just looked the other way.
Interestingly, the same year the officer says he was choked, the CBP issued a directive saying it does not tolerate violence in the workplace, including a direct or indirect threat of physical, mental, or emotional harm.
When they put a bag over your head, was that an act of violence?
That's correct.
And when they sexually assaulted you, would that be an act of violence?
That is correct. It goes against my call.
All of the officers told us they couldn't complain to higher-ups.
People are too scared to go anywhere because these guys are well connected.
I couldn't talk to management. I was afraid of retaliation. You cannot talk to management because these officers that actually carry out these acts, most of them are boys to the management.
New Jersey Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, who sits on the Homeland Security Committee, called for congressional action. Our first story, and now she's even more outraged.
This is very serious. We need to have a hearing on this. This has got to stop. It just seems to me that you hear of somebody who had this experience back in 2012. Well, what's been happening between 2012 and 2017?
Watson Coleman and other congressional leaders sent a letter several weeks ago to CBP officials demanding a response to a list of questions and got nothing. Tomorrow at 6, we'll have more on that and why officers believe the abuse may not be limited to Newark. Natalie?